So hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. It's Chilo here once again as always, but if you're new to this channel and you're seeing me for the first time, my name is Chioma, aka Chilo. I'm a Nigerian and I'm currently living and studying here in Japan. So guys, this is a long overdue video because I had asked you people to drop a comment in the sequel, as in the video that is linked to this. If you people are interested in seeing more mini reaction videos, and you said yes, and so today's video would be me talking about the things that foreigners do here in Japan that makes Japanese people uncomfortable, awkward, annoyed, or whatsoever. Now, if you know anything about Japan and Japanese people, I think I've overflogged this point. Is that they are very shy and they are very polite. So they would never, let me not say never, but they will hardly tell you when you offend them or when something is awkward or annoying. Sometimes they would rather just excuse themselves from the awkwardness, and before you know it, someone you used to be very close to, you're not as close to the person again. So I remember that when I saw this video that made me want to do this video, I was like, let me watch and hear what is it that we are doing that probably makes these people uncomfortable, but they will never come out directly to say. So once again, this will be a mini reaction video to Mrs. It. So Mrs. It is a Japanese woman. She lives in Japan and she tries to be the spokesman for foreigners. She tries to play devil's advocate, tell us what Japanese people will hardly not tell us, and tell Japanese people what foreigners will not want to see, something in that line. And that's because she lived abroad. I think she has lived in United States, she has lived in New Zealand, so she knows how different Japan can be from the rest of the world. And she's also married to a foreigner, so it kind of makes sense that she can talk about things like this because she has tasted both sides. So this particular video, when I saw it on her channel, I'm like, let me hear, let me watch, let me hear what we are doing that these people find uncomfortable and they will not tell us directly. So that's what today's mini reaction video will be. So I'm going to try to do screen record, so like previously, like the previous video where I talked about why you hate living in Japan, a black girl's perspective. That was still a mini reaction to her video. Just like that video, I would tell you, like, she has spoken, she has said her part, she has said her part, what we are doing that Japanese people find uncomfortable. So I'm going to be attacking the point, either confirming it with examples, like bringing it really down to a foreigner's perspective, or denying it or debunking it, like, oh, I've never experienced this, or just giving you context, more context to it. Now she has said it from a Japanese perspective, let me now say my own from a foreigner's perspective. So I'm going to link the original video in case you're interested. I would really advise you watch it. I'll link it in the description box. Go ahead and watch it after you finish watching this video, of course. So let's get right into this video.
Normal in your country might be seen as awkward, confusing, or even annoying here in Japan.
Very true, guys. There are some things that I felt were so normal, in maybe because of where I come from or because of the part of the world where I come from. And I came to Japan and I realized that some of those things that I felt were normal are actually awkward here. And there's some things that you would do. So what happens now in around my friends, colleagues, is they will ask you things like, oh, is that how it's done in Nigeria? And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, wow, that's not how it's done here. I've done a couple of videos like that. The one I did with Shigma, the dating differences. I've done a couple of videos like that with Japanese people, so you guys can see the differences clearly. But she's not lying. Some things are very, very awkward. So it takes a lot of readjusting for foreigners. Let's continue.
In Japan, we have the word smell harassment or perfume harassment.
Smell harassment.
I was really surprised when I saw a poster that explains this type of harassment. I don't think I ever met a person in America who had no smell. In Japan, the most popular scent here is no scent. For a lot of
She's so correct. It kind of finally made sense when I watched this video that Japan is not a country that has strong scent culture. I've hardly seen anybody with body odor, to be honest. Of course, you will meet one or two outliers, but it's not as common. So it's not like they have body odor either. They have neutral, fresh, just a fresh neutral smell. Now, most of their detergents actually, has this very subtle, nice smell that remains on your clothes, such that it's not so strong, but you're smelling fresh when you wear your clothes. Do you get me? So a lot of times, this is making more sense. A lot of times, I think it is more of foreigners that I have recognized the smell of perfume. I think I have recognized the smell of perfume more on foreigners than Japanese people. I don't think, as I'm saying this thing, I'm trying to remember all the people that I know in the lab, and I don't think I can attach perfume smell to my professor, assistant professor, to most lab members. Even their deodorant, everything is just soft, fresh smell. Now, I remember when I first came to Japan, I came with Rexona or Shaw. I can't remember the deodorant I was using then. If you know Rexona and Shaw, you know how the smell is really nice, but it's out there. When my deodorant finished and I had to get a new one in Japan, I was literally searching for things within that range and I couldn't find it. Now it's almost 4 years and I've gotten so used to using Japanese deodorant that is soft. Do you get what I'm trying to say? It's not, so it makes sense that there is something called smell harassment. I think it will make sense. And from this video, she also said that she has worked in a restaurant before where a lot of Japanese people asked to change their seats just because they were sitting close to someone who had a strong, perfume smell, or a smell that was very pronounced. And I'm just like, it now makes sense. It's not like they are not sold. You have perfumes being sold here, at least in Zara. I've gotten a good number of Zara perfumes that are that pronounced, but it makes sense. It makes sense that there could be something called smell harassment. Wow. Okay, let's go to the second point, guys.
Japanese people see beards as dirty, scary, and aggressive. Why? The reason is history. Beards.
Yes, the annoyance number 2 is birds, hairy situation, which is very, very, I think that's one of the first things that, not first, but that's one of the few things that when you stay here for at least a month, you will finally have a moment when you see someone that has birds. You're like, oh, I see what is different about you. Now, I come from a country, I'm Nigerian, and you hear people say things like, oh, bird gang, Sweet Boys Association, bird gang, such that bird is it's some people's identity. Having birds, it's some people's identity. There's even a lot of brands, people influence for bird oil to groom your birds. And I remember when, if you know Gedoni of Big Brother Naija, he was Richard Kafi's husband. We all know Gedoni with his bird. When he shaved it and posted a picture, everybody was like, who is this? Who is this? Who is this? That's just how much bird is like a in thing in some parts of the world. Although not everybody in Nigeria keeps birds, there are people who still have a very clean shave, but I'm just saying on an average it's like a cute thing. So I came to Japan, this one I can remember, and I just realized that I hardly saw birds. I hardly saw people keeping their birds, keeping their jaw hair. It was hard. Yeah, it finally did make sense, because I remember the day I saw a foreigner that had bird. I was like, oh, this is what looks different in this person. He has a bird. And it's not just an unspoken rule. I heard there are some organizations, especially some foreigners that are teaching maybe English in some schools. I'm not sure, but I heard that there's some situations where it's a spoken rule that you don't have to keep birds, or you don't have to wear some certain kind of clothes. It's a rule. Also, sometime last year, this one trended. Was it last year or 219 or 220, it trended. There were two people that sued their employers. Yes, you heard right. In a city here in Japan, they sued their employers because their employers gave them an unfair assessment, or this whole yearly remuneration, just because they keep beards and just because they were asked to shave and they refused to shave. This, mind you, these people that sued are Japanese people, not foreigners. So, and the beard, so when I saw the picture of them with a placard, like literally like protesting, it's not even long, it was just like a little. I'm just like, is this the beard that is taking people to court? It's that deep. So yeah, it makes sense if it's something that makes them uncomfortable or awkward around you, and they would not say it, but they would just gradually remove themselves. Thinking about it, so most of my friends that, like most of the people that I collaborate with, Shigma, Yoshi, they don't keep beards. It's so uncommon here in Japan. So yeah, this is very, very correct. Let's get to the third reason, guys.
Japanese people don't usually talk to strangers, but I know it's very different in America.
The third annoying reason she gave is lack of words. See, I think this is the one that from your first week in Japan you would notice. And I feel like this is where sometimes as foreigners we fault, because it's so awkward. Now in Japan, you can see Tokyo is a very, very populated city in Japan. The trains are usually crowded, but as crowded and jam-packed as Tokyo can be, I kid you not, the trains are silent. Like pin drop. If your key drops, you would hear it. That's how quiet a fully packed train can be. It's almost impossible in the rest of the world. I remember in Nigeria, one of the easiest ways you make friends in Nigeria is on the bus, when you're traveling, when you're on transit, or in the plane. I'll give you some examples. When I remember this period, I was traveling for NYSC from Cross River to Lagos. I served in Lagos, my very first time. I made at least two friends in that bus. One person, I even still have the person's number. I have the person on social media. Like, we just all start gisting. How far? Sometimes if you meet someone that is even from your tribe, you're like, can do. Like, buses, trains is just one of those places where you see people, you communicate. I think it reduces the stress of traveling. It makes it less daunting, because you get to meet people, you get to exchange ideas. I remember that some of the mistakes I would have made were averted just by those conversations. So it was my first time going to Lagos, but a lot of people in that bus, they've been to Lagos before, so they were telling me things like, oh, the camp is at Yanokbaja. When you get to that's what happens. But in Japan, you enter bus or train or whatever, and you're just like this. So what we are all now used to is when you just enter train or bus, you bring out your phone, go to social media, or put your earpiece, listen to music or YouTube and stuff. But a lot of times we foreigners, that one I will admit, we fault it, because if I now see a foreigner, let's say I see another black person, or just a foreigner or a lab member, follow you and talk. I might not be loud. I'll try my best not to be so loud so you don't feel uncomfortable. But I'm just like, oh, how are you? Just whispering. How was it? I think it's so awkward that you and someone you know will be on transit and you're like this. I think I've had an experience on the bus where I was talking to this Nigerian, and the driver had to announce that we should stop talking. Is that serious? So yes, this is the thing that I know could get some Japanese people really. This one, I've experienced it. I've even seen a situation where the passenger would walk up to the driver to say that some foreigners are disturbing where he is seated, and the driver will have to make an announcement saying, please stop talking. Lack of words. So yes, this is definitely one thing that I feel would get a lot of Japanese people awkward or annoyed. So let's get to the next point. I think number what?
Making direct eye contact is something we don't do in Japan. Maybe you've seen this video.
Yes, annoyance number 4, eye to eye contact. Yes, so this one too is something that it's not like I'm someone that usually make too. There are people that they cannot talk to you without eye to eye. That one I think can be like, are you trying to read my soul? But then there's just something about when you're talking with someone, you're having a conversation maybe with your friend, lab member, your colleague, your professor. You don't just staring into the air. Sometimes you still glances at the person's eye, just to make sure the person is listening or to keep the conversation synced or going. But Japanese people are so bad with eye to eye contact. So sometimes when you're looking at them and it feels like you've looked for more than a few seconds, you catch them like intentionally doing like they just don't want to look at you. So sometimes I think I've asked a friend this question before. I was like, oh yeah, it's not really a thing here in Japan. It's very awkward to them. It's more like, why are you trying to look into my eyes? So I think what they do is, because they understand that part of, yes, looking at someone kind of helps you know that the person is listening to what you're saying. So what they try to do for you is, when you're talking, they try to give you some sound responses that makes you know they are following. More like, maybe you're talking, the person like that joke, but they're not looking at you, so their eye is somewhere else, and they're like that joke, but they don't want to look at you. So it's so awkward. It's something that I feel like puts them off. It makes them so self-conscious, so shy. It puts them in an awkward situation. Except the person is your friend or close to the person, might now tell you that, oh, Choma, why do you like looking at me like that? Like sometimes they literally may tell you that. Okay guys, I think that's all the reasons she gave, which is four reasons or 4 ways that foreigners annoy Japanese people unintentionally, and I quite agree with all of them, and I gave you personal examples for all of them. So in case you're a foreigner living in Japan, know ye this day the things that we do that unintentionally annoy them. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I really hope videos like this help the foreigners like me living in Japan to like know what to do better, where to improve, how to meet at a middle point, or even better, engage your friends in conversations like this, like, oh, do you find this awkward, and stuff like that. Thank you guys so much for watching, and see you next time on Chilotalks. Once again, I'll put the original videos link in the description box. See you.